Okay, so we're going to create a Google form here, and for maths and science we're using it as a pre and post test tool, so we're going to use forms for that purpose. For Nick's purpose in English, he's going to use it to collect the YouTube URLs for the kids submitting their speech and also to record a reflection around their learning. Okay, so we've got sort of split purpose, but the form creation is standardized. So to create a form, it's just like any other Google Apps product. It's all available through the Drive, Google Drive. And if I create here, you can see that there's a whole lot of other non-Google apps that I could use, but we're just focusing on Docs, Presentation, Spreadsheet, Forms and Drawing. Form is the one I'm going with here. And again, it starts off with an untitled form. So these are the different themes that you could use, right? So let me just go with maths, pre-test, okay. So this is a really, really important thing to remember. If you're issuing a Google form to a group of students, please don't tick any of the 3 boxes up the top there. Do not tick those. Okay? The reason for that is because you're probably aware that we are in the @sid.catholic.edu.au domain. The kids are in the @sidstu.catholic.edu domain. If you tick those boxes, it's going to be asking them for their sid.catholic.edu.au email address, and they don't have one. So these 2 buttons in particular need to be unchecked. As a rule of thumb, I just say don't check any of the buttons for kids. Okay, so you can see there in Google Forms, it starts with a pre-made question. It's a multiple choice question. These are the different objects I could put in a Google form. Text, so it could be just, please record your name. Paragraph text is over 255 characters, so it could be an extended response. They could write their extended response in a Google form if they really wanted to. Disadvantages of that is it wouldn't save, if their computer dropped out or whatever, it wouldn't save that unless they hit submit. So be careful about that. Multiple choice, check boxes is multiple responses. Okay, so you can have what subjects do you do? Maths, science, English, you tick all those boxes. Choose from a list. Please select your teacher. And you have Miss Mandel, Miss Hayes, Mr. Kolak, all those sorts of things. Scale is a Likert scale, so really often used in student evaluations, unit evaluations, staff unit evaluations. Grid is a combination of responses on an X-Y axis, and I'll talk to you a bit about those a bit later on. But and then you've got date and time there. All right. So let's just go with we'll go with multiple choice to start with. Prior to that, though, I need to enter in some text. We need to find out who our student is. So please record your name, e.g. Okay, so you've got the answer type is text. Is it a required question? So do we want to make sure that they can't move on unless they hit or respond to that? So we hit done. Okay. What I would then do is insert a choose from a list. Please select your teacher from the list below. Okay. Okay, so we've got that as a required question. We hit done. So that's what that looks like there. Okay. And so this is where we can start putting in our multiple choice items. Now, if you choose to use a 1, 2, 3, 4, what it does mean is you can't shuffle them around. So maybe just leave that blank at the moment. And can I have a geometry question, please?
Find the complement of 30 degrees.
L-E-M-E-N-T of 30 degrees.
Otherwise, it'd be well done, 30 degrees. You're a good 30 degrees.
Okay, what are my possibilities? Now, interestingly enough, I don't have 30 degrees here at the moment. So how am I going to get the degree symbol
Type
in there?
it. Just D.
Okay, so I could type that. Interestingly enough, will it work in equation editor if I bring it across?
Don't you?
Complement of 30 degrees. Option 1 is, Grace,
D.
60 degrees.
Oh, we don't want them to type it.
They're not going to be typing, they're just selecting.
Oh, it's selected.
Yep.
So let's go 150.
Yep.
What other mistakes will they make from 90, I guess?
330.
Yeah, let's go 330.
Okay.
What 30?
So we want this to be a required question. Now, we don't select at this point. We don't select the correct answer. Okay, all that's done at the back end later on. Okay, so let's hit done. Now at the moment, you can see here. This is me designing my form. Where is this living? It's living in my Google Drive. Okay, it's living in my drive. You can see there. And if I go to last modified, you can see that it's sitting right there. Yeah? Now what it's done is it's also created a responses sheet. See how those icons are different? That's the form, that's the responses sheet. That's where all my answers are going to populate into. Okay? So we'll just leave that for the moment. Come back here. Alright. Nick, what we need also here is, I need a text field. Please record your email address and the example would be, actually, okay. Let me just move that up and see how there's the benefit of you can actually move these questions around by just dragging and dropping them. Okay, so the little red indicates that it's a compulsory field, must be filled out, right? So what does this look like at the moment? Over here we've got view responses, we've got view live form, we've got accepting responses. If I go to view live form, okay, you're my class. Open up a new tab, please, class. Everyone's going to do this. Quickly, open up a new tab.
Oh, you want
Yeah, everyone's doing this. Okay, now, we ready to go? Okay, please enter this Google URL that's up on the board. Can you see that? goo.gl/uppercase D, lowercase t, c, 4, uppercase y, uppercase r. Or if you had a QR code, you would scan it with your mobile device. Do you?
Why is this not with question longer?
You didn't enter it right. You put a question mark before it. Okay. All right, everyone in? Everyone submitted? Okay. Quick, come on.
It tells you have to put your email address. You have to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that was one of the fields.
Okay, so my participants have completed my quiz, and the question has arisen We only want them to complete the quiz once, right? Okay. So if I just jump back in, this is the view form. All right. So remember I went to view form, and if you scrub right along to the end of the URL, you can see that last part is view form. I want to go back into edit form. Remember, this is where we made it. So can you see up the responses here? It's told me that 6 students have responded to my form. Okay, so that's good. Right down the bottom, look at this. So I untick that. Thanks for doing my maths quiz, bro. Okay. So, once I can see that my class is done, am I going to accept any more responses? I click on that. This form is no longer accepting responses. Okay? So I've switched off the test. All right?
What if they're still doing it? They're just
Locked out.
locked out.
Yep. So that's how you would ensure that you maintain the integrity of your data. Okay, that's been collected. If you now went into that form URL that you were in there before, actually, can you just try and hit submit another one? Just refresh that
It's
URL.
no longer accepting responses.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay, no longer accepting responses. So that could work for a unit evaluation as well, like all those sorts of things where you're collecting data from them. Okay. Now, you think about the real world application of Google Forms for the kids, them creating these forms, putting data in, analysing that data in terms of charts, etc. in mathematics. Like there's some great opportunities there. But we're looking at this as a sort of a pre-testing thing for the moment. Okay. So what do I do now? I go to responses. I look at view responses, but before I do that, let's look at a summary of responses. Look at the summary of responses. Okay, there's all my names. There's their email addresses. Okay. No one filled out that question, did they? Oh yes, they're all in Miss Bandal's class. There you go. Sorry. Okay, so here I can see a graph where I've got a spread of different responses here. Well, that's no use to me because I don't know what Vashant responded. So I'm now going to go view all responses. And this is where I get my information from. So you can see there. All right, so now I'm just going to stop it here for the moment because then the final part of this little puzzle is a really cool add-on called Flugaroo. And what it enables you to do is automatically grade an assignment based on one entry in the spreadsheet. So say for instance Grace's entry was the correct entry across the board, and you would have one question per column, okay? You would then use this script to grade the assignment. It will then send an email to each of these students based on this email address with their responses and how they went in that pre-test. I'm going to leave that for a moment. Is that all right?